Third myth, the use of multi-well pads and cluster drilling reduces surface impacts. In other words, we're going to be better than we are out here in between Ithaca and Rochester, because out there you just see a well every 3 or 4 miles. Now we're going to have a well, say, every mile, but each pad is not going to have one well on it. It's going to have many wells on it, and that's not necessarily reducing impact in terms of space or time. I showed you this map before. I'm going to translate this map through photographs and projections. First photograph is, this is a modern frac site. Don't go to the Chesapeake website and look for a picture of a frac site. They'll show you one from 3 or 4 years ago where only one well is being fracked. This is a pad where 16 wells are being fracked. The number of wells per pad is going to go up. The number of permits issued per pad is going up in Pennsylvania. The current record in Pennsylvania is 19 wells on a pad. So yes, the pads will only be a mile apart, but they're going to be on the pad operating, drilling, and fracking for years, because they're putting many wells on a pad. You remember what I said, 5 to 10 million gallons of fluid per well? Multiply by 16. You get numbers like this. By the way, this is northeastern British Columbia, another example of cluster padding. Pad, 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 pad. The whole idea is to underlie the entire formation, drill through it. Here are the numbers you get when you have a 16-well pad. 417 million gallons of water, 78,000 tons of sand, 8 million gallons of fracking chemicals, 500 frac intervals, 10,000-foot laterals, and 40,000 horsepower of diesel running 24/7, 365 for a few years in your backyard. Current record, 52 wells on one pad and going up. The industry is young. As I said in my first myth, this is a new technology. They're trying to find the sweet spot. The number of wells per pad, the number of pads per square mile, the length of the laterals, the amount of fluid being injected. They're trying to find the sweet spot, least dollars down for most gas back, and what they're finding is, put a pad about every mile and put 16 to 50 wells on a pad, 10,000-foot laterals, you're making a lot of money. What would it look like in upstate New York? Those of you who have read our SGEIS know in upstate New York, the operator, the landowners, and DEC have to agree on what's called a spacing unit. This is a map of 2 proposed spacing units in applications for permitting for drilling in the Marcellus in New York. Notice that the pad is rectangular. It's roughly a square mile. It's oriented north-northwest, south-southeast, because that's the best orientation to pick up all those natural fractures. And this was a proposed 10-well pad. What would that look like in an area just south of my home in Ithaca, New York? Here's the town of Newfield. All the brown area is leased. Let's suppose that all the other people in there are leased too. Or let's suppose that the land controlled by 60%. The 60% of the land controlled by certain people say, let's lease. In other words, the other 40% don't have anything to say about it. And let's suppose that only one operator goes into that town and develops the entire town's gas. This is what it would look like. Every one of those yellow rectangles is a spacing unit. Every red square is a pad, and there would be 4 to 8 to 12 to 20 wells on every one. That's what we mean by spatially intense development. So the myth is use of multi-well pads and cluster drilling reduces surface impacts. That's a myth. In fact, it results in higher industrialization over a larger area for a longer period of time, which means from a health impact, long-term noise, dust, light pollution, NOx emissions, higher spill probabilities of frac fluid, venting, and accidental emissions of produced gases.